Let me pretend to pull my notes up. You know what's sad is that I always do these. I always take them and then I never look at them.
Ever?
Not really. I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No wonder it takes me
No
8
wonder.
hours
Terrible.
to edit. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, Betsy wasn't even on the right show.
No.
That's how I feel sometimes. I'm always on the wrong show, the wrong network.
I'm frankenbiting your
I
audio.
honestly didn't take very many notes on this one anyway.
I take a lot of notes, but more as an exercise to get it into my head as opposed to just wanting to talk about every little thing.
Yeah, you do more of like a sentence like, oh, they went to dinner and this is what was important. I just speak everything. So that's why it's very long.
Okay, so my notes are done more like an associate producer. How I used to take notes when I would work on shows. My notes are like that. So it's like basically like a mini hot sheet. Charlie was disappointed in the info that she was given at a brunch Katie invited her to. It's distasteful what happened at Sheena's wedding with Tom. It was their anniversary. Next bullet. I'm not thinking about their anniversary. They're not together anymore. They're also chose to be there. Like, those are my notes.
Yeah. See? And I'm looking at that scene right in my head. Mm-hmm. I'm not thinking about their anniversary.
I and we honestly produce our podcast very similarly to how I produce a show. So
Lucky us.
Lucky us. Okay, so I was watching Good Morning America this morning.
Are we recording now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I was recording all of that.
Oh, okay. Okay. Lucky me.
First of all.
Are you mad because I asked you if you were recording? Okay.
And I'm keeping it in.
Okay. All right. Guys, I say that every single time.
I love how she tried to do
mad at me now, so she's going to leave it in to burn me.
But do you see how, as a producer, I've trained Betsy? She picked up her line again. Did you hear that? It was like, oh, you're recording. Oh, okay. So was it this morning?
I am, after all, an actor.
You are.
A thespian. Not really. But anyway.
You went to I.O.
I went to I.O.?
That's where you were trained. I.O. in Hollywood? The improv.
Oh, is that what it was called? Maybe. I love that you remember more than I do.
Yes.
I did 2 different improv classes. I did a musical improv and then a normal form improv. But I don't remember the theater, I got to be honest. Mm-hmm. But it was right there on the...
I thought it was called I.O. right there.
It might have been. Because it was walking distance from where we live.
Across from 49 Tops.
Yeah.
Or 39 Tops, excuse me.
Yeah,
that's no longer 39 Tops anymore, but
yeah.
I was watching Good Morning America this morning. And I want to start off by saying that I just want to be celebrated for doing the bare minimum.
Okay.
I want to be celebrated for doing nothing. Mm-hmm. Because when I was watching this morning on Good Morning America, all I kept hearing is Prince William this, Prince William that. And I was like, oh, what's Prince William doing?
Yeah.
Well, I guess he decided to go to a restaurant where he pretended to work there and picked up the phone from a caller taking down their takeout order. And everyone was clapping. Everyone thought it was the most exciting thing ever. And they were like, wouldn't you wish to be that caller today, calling in to do a takeout and realize it's Prince William on the other line? Look at him. He's just like us. And I'm like, the rest of us work.
God.
The rest of us get paid to do things like that. I don't give a fuck.
I don't care.
The fact that we have to celebrate celebrities doing everyday things, I'm done.
They pump their gas too. Yeah. Don't you remember that section in either Us Weekly or In Touch in those magazines where they would always have a section like celebrities are just like us. They pump their gas. They walk their dogs. Like all of these like normal things. And you're like, okay.
They buy toilet paper.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool.
I wouldn't have even known if I was that caller. I wouldn't have even known that it was Prince William. Unless he said this is Prince William. I wouldn't have known.
Well, they did, but the whole segment was basically discussing how he and Kate were traveling. You know, they do that thing where they go on like tours and stuff. Mm-hmm. And that they popped into this restaurant that was on their tour for the day. And he stepped in to take a call from somebody who wanted to place takeout. And I'm like,
who cares?
Who fucking cares? It's because the king's coronation is soon. So I think it's just topical. I don't care. Okay? I don't care. What I do care about is the fact that Erika Jane is dating an 80-year-old man. That's what I care about. I care about that stuff. I don't care that Prince William is doing takeout orders. Go ahead.
She's dating an 80-year-old man? Mm-hmm. How do we know this?
Well, we don't know.
Oh,
no.
But you know.
No, not even me. I don't even know. No. I got this off the internet.
It's probably true. She probably has a type.
I think I saw it on Bravo and Cocktails, and I saw it on another Instagram account this morning.
Okay.
That he is a multimillionaire. Okay. And that he allegedly paid for her residency in Vegas.
All right. It's true.
You think it's true?
I'm here to confirm. That sounds very, like it tracks very much for
I was just going to say,
Erika.
Over the summer though, wasn't she seen getting out of a private jet coming from Vegas? And she was asked about it at the reunion and she would not tell us whose private jet it was. I guarantee you, I bet you it's this guy's.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, Bravo and Cocktails, for always cracking the code, the Da Vinci Code of celebrity gossip.
Well, I think it probably is true.
Yeah.
I mean, should we see her in Vegas?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Should that be next on our tour? Our first up is Taylor Swift that we have next week.
Do we know when she's going to be there?
I'm not sure.
Guess we can find out.
She actually is the one that was forthcoming about this. I think she posted about it on her Instagram account. She might have said when the tour dates are going to be.
Listen, I wouldn't be opposed to it.
House of Blues.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not okay. Make no mistake, it's not like a residency like Caesars.
I wasn't expecting that.
Like Celine Dion.
I wasn't expecting that.
No, of course not.
Honestly, House of Blues, I think, is a big step up. So
I think that's a huge step.
I mean, actually,
I think it's a big step.
Yeah. But I would see her.
Ice Houses.
She has some fun songs and she's a good performer. So
I would absolutely see
So
Erica
let's
Jane.
put that on
I
our
think that
list.
she's having her come up.
any chance to go to Vegas?
Yeah, I don't care that she's dating an 80-year-old man. I know that
I don't care
I made
either.
it seem like I cared because I pointed that out, but I thought that was an important detail.
We always need to pretend that we care a little bit.
Yeah.
But we don't really care.
I don't care either. I want Erica Jane
To be kind of like old Erica Jane. That's what I want.
Yes, and even if that means, unfortunately, I'm rolling my eyes saying this, even if that means that she has the same wealth that she did before.
Yeah.
But just this time, can it be done,
Legally.
with a little integrity?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
But if she is dating somebody who's older, more power to you.
Yeah. Well, looking forward to that, I guess.
I'm looking forward to that too, but something tells me we're not really going to see that this season on Beverly Hills.
I guess we really didn't see Tom very much in the beginning anyway. Barely. So
No, but I just feel as though we're not going to. I mean, maybe we will. You know what? I feel like he has connections to Vegas. He might be one of those guys that is going to be totally fine being on camera, kind of like Polly is with Dolores.
Oh, they're probably exactly the same. This man and Polly. But I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
What I'm saying though. Like at first I was thinking maybe he wouldn't do it because of everything that had gone on with Tom, but maybe he would. Anyway,
Well, we don't know.
we don't know. We'll see.
We shall.
We shall. Is that your cue for us to start to get into the episode?
We shall.
Is that-
Yes.
Guys, wow. For somebody who didn't know that we were recording earlier and had to ask on the pod whether we were recording, I see it in her eyes that she's ready to move on to the next segment, which is
Beverly Hills
recapping.
sucks me dry. So I just,
I know,
before
I
I
know.
it, I'm talking about Kyle, and I can't do
Look,
that.
well, before you know it, I'm talking about Teddy, which I made
can't.
sure that we talked about it before we got on mic because I couldn't bear to have you guys be subjected to
Yeah.
another conversation about Teddy.
We
And
don't
here we
wanna
are.
do that.
Here we are, but we did talk about it just so you guys know. Not that you need to know.
Yeah. We don't want to put y'all through that. We're as
No.
disappointed as you are, I'm sure.
But yet, we're
here-
going to put ourselves through
Well, I
another
just-
episode of Tom Sandoval.
Yeah. Oh, God. And maybe Tom Sandoval is the second one. I feel like the only thing Teddy and Tom can kind of share in common is that I feel like collectively people hate them. We don't find a Teddy fan. We don't find a Tom fan. So I feel like it can unite us in a way.
Yeah, but in real life, if you had to choose,
Death.
no.
Was that the question? Or hang out with one of them?
Hang out with none or give me death. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Well, anyway.
to move away from talking about death on this Friday afternoon, shall we?
We shall.
We shall. Hey, y'all. Welcome to Reality Bites, the podcast where we'll deep dive into this week's buzziest reality TV and pop culture happenings.
I'm Betsy, and while I may be 9 to 5 by day, I'm a reality connoisseur by night.
And I'm JJ, a reality TV producer by trade, but my favorite pastime is dishing unfiltered dirt and behind-the-scenes scoop. We'll tackle the biggest and best water cooler moments of the week through an insider lens you won't find anywhere else.
Buckle up, buttercups.
Please don't tell me it's about Tom.
It's about Tom.
This is Reality Bites.
I don't even know where to begin.
Well, I was going to ask you a question
Okay.
out of the gate.
To ease in.
To ease in.
Okay.
To ease our way in. Okay. We're going to KY Silky our way into this recap. Just little,
Yes.
I don't know what that sound is, but
It was a release.
ease our way in.
Okay.
Release. If you had dog custody with an ex-partner, how would you handle it? Have you ever had to experience
No.
dog custody?
in reference to the scene with Tom and Katie at the beginning when she just kind of rushes in and then rushes out. I thought that was highly appropriate. And I actually really enjoyed it because they can be cordial, but they don't need to sit there and have a long talk about anything. So I'm sure Tom thought that she was very cold, but I really it was my favorite scene with Katie.
I don't think she was cold at all. I think that she was behaving appropriately.
Well, right, but he's going to perceive that as being cold because she was very short and she got out of there.
I mean, yes, he's going to perceive that as cold, and she does perceive it as cold.
But I thought
really,
it was appropriate.
What the issue is here is not so much the perception than the fact that he has to actually admit that what he did was wrong, because this is the consequence of that. We talked about this last episode. He thinks that Katie is always going to be there. Because if he cheated on her while they were married, why wouldn't she be there around while they're friends?
No, why is this a big deal? That's what he's thinking.
Let's be clear here. What he did is not cheating. We know that. We know he's not cheating on her. We know that they are no longer together. Katie's not stupid. It's not lost on Katie that they're no longer together. And I don't think it's lost on Katie that he would behave this way given what he did in the past. And I think the real issue here, which I think was probably discussed or was explicitly discussed earlier on, but I think I missed this. I don't think I realized that they had this sit down conversation, proverbially, because obviously, I don't know if they sat down and
they
had like
standing.
Knights at the Round Table.
Yeah.
But they had this conversation where they made a pact saying, we're not going to do this. AKA, we're about to film a show. When we're done filming, do whatever the fuck you want. But while we're here and in this friend group, no. I don't think I realized that they had like a big discussion about it. And it could be because, per usual, Tom Schwartz presents all of this information like haphazardly and kind of like small truths or not totally the truth. And Katie's like, we did this. So Katie always feels like she's the shrew, even when she's not. And it's because Schwartz gives half truths that we just are supposed to believe.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that they did. I mean, she mentions it in the beginning of the season that they have one rule. No, she didn't go into details,
That's what I mean,
right?
though.
We just have one rule. Don't hook up with anybody in the friend group. And I think we see a little bit of it with that dreadful scene with Ariana, Tom, and Katie when they're talking about this. And she's like, listen, I know we're not together. If he wants to hook up and do something, he can do it. That's his prerogative. But he doesn't get my friendship. You can't have both.
100%. I'm just saying that earlier on, you're right. She did say we had the one rule. But I don't think I understood that it was a actual discussion between the two of them.
A formal
discussion.
Yeah.
I thought it was more like, okay, Tom, we have one rule.
Sure.
I took it more like she not necessarily was setting the stakes. And he just was like, as Tom Sandoval tries to say later on in the episode, which is annoying as fuck to me. But I don't think I realized it was an actual like formal conversation. Not that I needed to necessarily know that. It didn't feel as significant earlier on as it does now. Now we're getting a little bit more of the details of the fact that they actually sat down, they had a discussion, they did this, and now he's pretending as though it wasn't that big of a deal.
Well, let's also not forget that even before this kiss happened, they had multiple conversations on camera. Like, why are you doing this?
That's my point.
Why stop it? And he's like, I don't have feelings for her. So fine, then do it because that's your prerogative. But then don't be surprised.
Now that she's had conversations with both Raquel and Schwartz about it on multiple occasions, peppered out from the start of the show to where we are right now. Yeah. You fucking played with fire and you got goddamn burned.
Yeah.
You fucked around and you found out. I don't know why he's so shocked. But again, he wants to create the narrative that Katie's Katie, Katie's this, Katie's that. I did nothing wrong. I don't understand. Normally we'd kick it.
Blown it way out of
You're
proportion.
not upset. Exactly. You're not upset that you could have hurt her feelings. You're upset that you no longer have the person that is there to, quote, support you and be that person that you have coffee talk with when they come over to drop the dogs.
Yeah. That's the consequence. So you have to own up to it.
Here's what I'll say, and I've said it before, and Betsy's heard me say this 100 times. With free will comes consequence. Yes, you're allowed to do whatever you want to do, but the other person who may be affected by this is also allowed to set a boundary. You don't like it, then don't do it.
Yeah.
You want to do it, then do it. Just know that this is what's going to happen. It's very simple.
Right.
If you do A, B, and C, X, Y, and Z will occur. Okay. I don't understand why she's not allowed to have that boundary. It's bothersome to both Schwartz and Sandoval. And I think that tracks, given their history that we've seen over the last 10 years. And more importantly, given what's going on right now. I mean, the audacity of these people who are just like, you set up a boundary. I don't like it. You're at fault. Too bad.
Yeah.
Tough fucking shit.
Yeah, I agree. So I actually, when she came in and got those dogs, said, oh, that sounds rough about your business. See ya.
He's lucky that she got that, which was an acknowledgement of something he said.
Yeah.
She could have just said, okay, bye.
Yeah.
I would have like, oh, okay, bye.
Unbothered.
She cut that umbilical cord. I'm
Good.
telling you, Mexico was the nail in the coffin. And when a woman gets to that point, really when anybody gets to that point, I like to say females and Virgos because I'm speaking for myself.
Is she a Virgo?
No, but I'm just saying
Oh.
like Virgos tend to, or they're like Lala. Like once
Lala's
done.
a Virgo.
Yeah.
When it's over, it's over.
When it's over, it's over.
Yeah.
And you give and you give and you give and you give and you give. And there's just always that one little nail in the coffin. And when that happens, it's a little switch.
Yeah.
Nothing is left unsaid. You just go, it's done.
It's done.
And that's what happened. Thank God.
I hope so.
He's so upset though. He is so upset she will not stay to hang that he calls.
He calls his BFF.
Yep.
Who I guess is doing his confessional.
Yeah, he is doing his confessional.
So,
That's my favorite, by the way.
What, that he was doing his confessional or
Yeah,
what?
when cast members call other cast members in confessionals.
Because
Or
we're like,
just randomly.
Pick up.
And I love how they kept rolling because, of
course.
why would you not?
Yeah.
But I also love that he said cut. Because here's the thing. When you say cut, cameras know that means cut the tape. We're done. So you have to be super specific. Something tells me that he was like, keep rolling,
baby.
Keep rolling.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've done that before.
Yeah. Well, and there's Sandoval just pumping him up. She's a bitch and all this stuff, whatever he says about Katie, because, Katie's cold and Katie always is malicious and out for him.
You
did nothing wrong.
Wrong.
I don't think you did anything wrong. You two
I did nothing wrong.
decent-looking people in Mexico having fun.
Go on.
But he's never liked Katie, and why would we ever think that even if this made sense to him, why would he ever take Katie's side? Of course, Katie's wrong. She's just always over the top and she overreacts. It's always her fault in his eyes. And that's why that's why Schwartz loves it, because he knows that Tom Sandoval will always see his side and make him feel better about his stupid ass decisions.
That's why he's calling him.
Oh yeah, no, I know.
I mean, look,
and the fabric, remember that. So the fabric came. We're going to be ready to open in August of 2025. We are almost there, okay?
You understand that it's literal days before this is supposed to open. They make it seem like it's at least a week out. I don't even think it's a week out.
No, I think it's like a couple of days.
It's literal like days. Literal days.
God.
These guys
light it on fire. Light it up on fire and burn it to the ground. If we have to get those potato chips, let's get those potato chips. We got to open. I can't. Something's going on with Sandoval. Like, he's always been like this, but something extra is happening here, and he looks deranged.
What do you mean? He's having a midlife crisis.
There's something going on with his eyes. I'm looking at, like, to me, he's like, I think he's the
fucked
devil.
Up.
I think so too.
I think he's going through something. I don't know. I don't know.
Like these scenes where he's just like yelling and just being over the top. I'm like, stop it.
He's in over his head, Betsy. That's the problem. They are financially in over their heads with this place.
That's his problem. That's his fault.
I understand. But as Tom Sandoval has always been, he's going to try to hide all of the actual problems and anxiety that he actually feels. He's spiraling, okay? He financially
lost on me. I get that.
This is not me excusing, sure, sympathizing, but I do think that he's spinning. I'm trying to give reason as to why he's acting like a fucking lunatic, because he is. Mm-hmm. He's acting all over the place. Take Raquel out of it, okay? Let's pretend Raquel doesn't exist. We don't know any of that.
Sure.
His behavior would be no different. He may not be cheating, but he's all over the place. He is losing it. I think that he is financially in the absolute red, which doesn't make sense to me, as we later find out in the episode, and we'll get there in a second, that Brett, the one person who seems to know what they're doing, is like, dude, we're not ready to open. But this guy's like in the red. And I'm like, you understand that you're going to get more in the red if you open earlier? I guess what I'm trying to say is you have to lose more money to make the money, because where they're at, there's no way to get out of that. So I just think that he is financially in much more distress than I think that we realize.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I think we're seeing it with this episode specifically. You know, he's talking about his mom's retirement fund, his house, all of this stuff, that he's going to be fucked. Greg can just find another job. Brett can just find another job. Greg just can turn over the keys, but he's fucked because he used part of his family's money. And, you know,
well, hold on. Greg can find another restaurant to open, but here's the thing. Greg also has his name tied to this. I know that Greg is really the person that's kind of the COO, right? He's overseeing everything. Whereas Sandoval and Schwartz, they're the money that's coming in to make this happen, right? They're like the CEO.
Yeah.
Okay, but I understand that Greg doesn't have all of this equity, but he still has his name attached. He's a restaurateur. Like, this is what he does for a living. The fact that you're just like, Greg doesn't really matter. It's not that easy for Greg just to go and get another job.
Yeah. I know, but I think for Sandoval, that's how he has to rationalize it, right? Because he has to have somebody to blame.
100%.
Right? So who's the one that's been pulling the e-brake? It's Greg. We're in this position because of Greg, not because of me and my band practice and my nails. It's because of Greg, right? He's placing the blame there. But I agree with you. Greg wants this place to succeed.
Yeah.
I mean, he might not be as stressed as the Toms, but like, he doesn't want this place to fail. But I think Tom Sandoval likes to like define it that way because it makes it easier for him to place the blame there.
100%.
Because they're doing everything. They're doing
100%.
everything they possibly can.
Working in a restaurant, working in restaurant management, it's very similar to working on a television show. I felt Brett in that moment, in that scene. Where he was like, dude, I can do X, Y, and Z at the last minute. What I can't fucking do, though, is find a kitchen staff. I can't do that. And not having a restaurant staff that knows what they're doing was serious problem. That was what, 3 or 4 episodes ago? Yeah. I remember saying on our recap, being like, that's the biggest problem with this entire thing.
They don't know how to run a kitchen.
They don't know how to run a kitchen, which is absolutely imperative. If your chef does not know how to run a kitchen staff, they need to go. It's one thing to be a chef and do privates, or maybe you have a tiny little baby restaurant. That place is big. If you guys have ever been to Schwartz and Sandy's or ever just been to that area in general, it's Beechwood Canyon. That restaurant is not small. It's big. So that to me was the problem 4 episodes ago. That means to me that they were having problems with the kitchen and the chef a month ago.
Yes.
So why are we just now trying to figure this out?
And I think it just goes to show how not involved they are. They're not involved in the day-to-day. And that's when
the issue.
And that's when Brett was like, y'all can come here and deal with it. You want to deal with it? You deal with it. And exactly, because they're not there. So it makes sense that they don't know these like day-to-day very important things because they are doing everything high level.
Yeah. I mean, they know, but they just seem to think that it's just going to magically
fix
happen.
itself.
Here's what I will say, and forgive me for doing this because I know that not everybody is going to want to see it this way, but I got to give Tom Schwartz some props because out of all of them, and it's really just the 2 of them, he's the only one that seems to understand that like this is not going to happen.
He's being realistic about it.
Well, that's what I mean. Did he fall short in some instances? I'm sure he did along the way. But the truth is that when you narrow it down, he's the one that's being the most pragmatic and the most realistic about it in a way where he ends up calling out Sandoval later on at Lisa's when they're all together trying to explain like why they're not going to open up because Lisa had that conversation with Greg when they were in Mexico.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually really liked that scene.
So did I.
With Schwartz.
And I know that Lisa loves both Toms, but she's always been a Sandoval sympathizer. And she was sympathizing with him in this moment. And I get why she was doing it, but Schwartz was right.
He was right.
Calm down, calm down. I'm like, no, because she was telling Schwartz to calm down in that moment. I'm like, dude, no, enough with the calm down. Schwartz has had to listen to Sandoval bitch and moan.
And puff.
When he is the person that's at fault. His cards are showing. His narcissism, all the things that he's been able to hide and be covert about for so long are finally showing. And the dead giveaway to me was in the interview when he was like, well, what do you expect me to do? I have to get my nails done.
Yeah.
That to me was sloppy.
Yeah.
Really sloppy because that made absolutely no sense. Please, by all means, get your manicure done before you, I don't know, make decisions that are imperative to opening up a restaurant that's been sitting unopened for a year.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt like he tried to land that line in a comedy way, and it didn't happen.
Comedy?
I mean, I really thought, like, you think I'm going to walk around with chipped nails? No way. Like, just kind of being, like, you know, fluff. But
he was too mad for it to land as comedy.
That scene, and then when he slaps his hand down on his leg, I was like, okay, this is too much. But, yeah, I was proud of Schwartz in that scene, because everything he's saying was right. You can huff and puff and say, we need to open, but you don't do anything. You don't back it up with actions. You don't do anything. And this isn't the first time that we've heard from Schwartz that the band The band, he thinks Sandoval maybe puts before the restaurant, right? We kind of heard that earlier on in the season that Tom went missing for like over a month because he was touring or doing something with that band, which I guess, I do like that he says nobody performs at an A+. At best, people perform at a B minus or a B+, because I think he's probably more of like a D. But I do appreciate that he knows that he's on an A level performer.
Well, I don't think that he knows that. I think that he thinks that he's an A+, but didn't think about how what he was saying was going to land the way that it did, which only gives reason to the fact that he's a bad performer. Here's what I'm saying with this is that the restaurant not being able to open reminds me so much. Now, the situations are different, but it reminds me so much. Again, a callback to Stassi's book and the opening at Tom Tom.
Yep. Okay.
She had the book signing at Tom Tom. Yep. It was on the books. No pun intended, but it was on the books and it was scheduled. She sat down with both Schwartz and Sandoval talking about what was to be expected, the guest list, the amount of people, et cetera, et cetera. The bartender's back out at the last minute, the night before the book signing. Tom Schwartz decides to take care of it. He doesn't want Stassi to worry. He's like, we got it. If I have to get behind there and bartend, I will. Okay. Tom Sandoval rage texts Stassi and blames her for the reason why they're not in tip-top shape. Schwartz knows that Sandoval's overreacting and says as much. He says it to everybody. He tells Sandoval, like, you're overreacting. This is ridiculous. The way that you handled this was wrong and you need to accept it. To the point where they, again, go on another trip. They go to Miami for Jackson Brittany's bachelor and bachelorette party. And he still won't take accountability. It takes days and days and days for Tom Sandoval to say anything close to, I was wrong. Again, Schwartz is being the pragmatic, logical one, coming in and saying, you were fucking wrong. Schwartz has it in him. We see it. It's just very sporadic, and it has to be something that he feels is worth fighting for.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, because he did stick up for Stassi in that moment. He's like, you are overreacting. That didn't go very well. And then in this case that we just saw at Lisa's, he does, he's kind of coming at him. He's calling him out on his bullshit. And, Tom just can't handle it. Sandoval just cannot handle it. And so what does he do? He huffs and he puffs and he walks on out. That's what he does.
Yep.
And that's your best friend. That's your brother. And you can't take any, constructive criticism. You can't be like, I can see where you're coming from. No, he can't.
No, he can't.
He yells and then he walks out.
He yells at Brett and gets up to act like he's walking away. He yells at Schwartz, at Lisa's, and he acts like he's getting up to walk away. And he ultimately comes back and sits down. He's all puff and huff.
Yeah.
He's all bark, no bite.
Yeah.
But a lot of barking.
Yeah, enough.
A lot of barking. Like that type of barking from a dog that makes you think the dog's really cute, but it's not cute.
This is totally off topic. It's a totally different scene, but I'm sorry. It's when Christina Kelly is coming to Lala's and she comes in and Lala's dog is barking and Lala goes, did the barking scare you or not make you want to come in? And Christina goes, no, it actually made me want to come in more. I thought that was so cute. Because I'm that way. No, it didn't scare me. It made me actually want to come in more because of the barking. But anyway.
Enough about the Toms. Hopefully we didn't lose anybody considering that we just spent the last
I'm sorry,
15
guys.
or so minutes talking about that. But
they were insufferable all throughout this episode.
They really were. But I will say Tom Schwartz, to me, is much more pragmatic and logical and reasonable.
About the business.
Yes. But because he's even keeled, no tone, it oftentimes just feels like he stands for nothing.
Yeah.
He looks like he stands for something, but does he really stand for anything? Nah.
No.
Stand for something or stand for nothing. Speaking of a person who is queen at standing for something or standing for nothing is a Charlie.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Because now we have Raquel and Charlie.
I love Charlie.
In the park.
Yes.
Taking pictures.
For Hinge.
Guys, I need to know that for our listeners out there, men, women, whatever you have your settings to, did anybody see Raquel on any dating apps between late August and let's say January? Okay. Because if they're taking a picture for Hinge, I want to know if anybody saw her on Hinge in those months.
Probably not.
Ploy.
Exactly.
Decoy.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I've done scenes where we set up profiles for people, but we actually set them up and we see it. So that's why I was curious.
Yeah, probably not.
How did you feel about this scene with Charlie and Raquel?
Oh, I loved it. Because I love Charlie. Because Charlie is someone who I think can hold you accountable, but also do it in a way where not really judging you, but I'm your friend. I'm going to hold you accountable. I expect more of you. I wouldn't do that to my worst enemy. Honestly, Raquel, when I heard about this, I was a little disappointed. I'm not going to not be your friend, but I kind of expected more from you. Like, I actually appreciate that kind of conversation. I
She's
mean,
a real
it's
one.
falling on deaf ears, but like
Is
Charlie,
it?
yes, but Charlie herself, like clapping cadodes. I loved it.
Here's what I'll say. Did it fall on deaf ears? Sure. Were they deaf or did they just not understand?
I mean,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Did it fall on deaf ears? Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think that I guess what I'm trying to say is I can understand why you think it fell on deaf ears. I think it got to her because if there's anybody who's going to have a conversation with Raquel, who Raquel can see is somebody who actually gives a fuck about her outside of the other cast members on the show, and we'll call them cast for now because that's where they're at. They're not friends. Charlie's going to be the one. Like if Charlie's saying it, I think Raquel knows that it wasn't a good look.
Yeah.
As opposed to others being like, okay, that's just them griping.
And I think there might be an aspect that Raquel herself doesn't care because she doesn't really like Schwartz in that way. You know what I mean?
No, but she does care about the perception. You can see her getting like worked up and like upset that everybody thinks that she's a certain type of way because she kissed Tom. That's what's bothering her. It's not kissing him. It's the perception. And gee whiz, I wonder why. Well, maybe because what they thought was going to work isn't working. And it's making her look worse.
I mean, I feel like that comes up more in the episode with like the mistress stuff and Oliver.
It's true.
But she does quickly, make it known that she's not going to be having a relationship with Schwartz. But it's only because Schwartz doesn't want to. Because if he wanted to, she would have done it. I did appreciate her saying that. She's like, but if he wanted to date me, I would date him. I'm like, all right.
Then I don't understand. Now, I know
think
that
she's just saying that.
I know that she's just saying it. We all know what the truth is now, but in an effort to recap the episode as it stands, while also trying to sprinkle in what we know now, none of this makes sense. Could it be an editing thing? Sure. But I also think it's just a Raquel thing. If you're going to lie and be this person who is malevolent, then you have to be better. At this point, I'm getting more disappointed about how bad the lies are. Like, I really like him, but I also don't care about to date him. But I'm disappointed that he doesn't like me back. But I mean, just be better. Just be better.
Yeah.
Be better, Raquel. But that's expecting far too much.
I think
for somebody
so.
like little Raquel. With her little empty thoughts.
I think also maybe it could be her just trying to be very vulnerable and put herself out there. Like, well, I'm being honest. I would date him if he wanted to date me, but he doesn't. Because, I mean, that could be a likable quality in somebody else. Being honest, like, I would have dated him, but they didn't want to date me. So it is what it is. Taking ownership that you weren't wanted. I mean, it's not landing, but there could be a ploy there that she thought she would have come across really likable and being honest that, if he wanted her, she would have been there.
Yeah.
But
it really all is a wash anyway, because she
is.
ends up telling Charlie that she has a date with Oliver.
Oh, God. That scene was so whiplash. I was like, oh, my God, I forgot all about Oliver.
Yeah.
That was a mess. This was a mess, the whole episode.
It really was. But before we get there, we have another mess to clean. Another mess.
This whole episode?
Yeah. By the way, this entire episode is a disaster.
It took me like 5 hours to watch. I'm not even joking. Not only was it supersized, which I appreciate, but I need them to stop. I can't do the supersized anymore. It's too much for me. I don't know if I'm alone, because I know there are people out there that probably like can't get enough. I can get enough, and it's too much. So this episode, no joke, I watched it twice, and I probably like 5 hours collectively, and I don't even know how it took me that long.
I think I watched it like 3 times.
It was a lot.
So we have Katie, Ariana, and Tom.
Abort. God. You know what I hate the most before even getting into like the intensity of this scene is Ariana's there, getting all of her sandwich stuff out. And Tom comes, whoa, you should open a sandwich shop.
I'm done.
Like, stop it. Shut up.
And she's like, hardy, har, har, har.
Like, the resentment on his face.
He's so mad. He's so mad she gets a whole scene.
Yep. And the resentment that he has in his confessional, talking all these backhanded compliments about, oh my God, I'm so jealous. Their space is so small.
He actually is jealous.
He is.
But he's envious, though. He changes it really quickly. He goes, I'm envious. Yeah. I'm like, I know what you're doing.
Exactly.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
It's so small. It's so cheap. It's like, okay, he's trying so hard to like be the supportive boyfriend and he can't do it. He absolutely cannot do it. And it's written all over his fucking dumbass, disgusting mustache face.
I mean, they have no partners. just to humor and to entertain me. What is the problem with the partner's part? Is he upset because they have somebody they have to answer to?
Yeah, I honestly didn't quite know where he was going with
because it was obviously a dig, but I was like, I couldn't tell if it was a dig towards the partners or it was a dig towards Ariana.
Yeah, that was confusing to me. Like the other two were very obvious, like kind of a slap in the face, like, oh, your place is small and it's cheap, but I'm jealous of that because our place is large and expensive. But like the partner thing was a little confusing for me.
It was like he was trying to brag that they're big enough to have partners, but then dig that
it sucks to have partners.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That part was a little lost on me.
The problem with this entire scene and the most offensive to me was that ballroom dancing shirt that he's wearing in his interview. Did you see that with his legs crossing? He looks like he's about to go and like, dude, like,
I can't.
Tango.
I have a hard time looking at him. I got to be honest.
He makes me sick.
And the fact that he just thinks that he is God's gift and the hottest thing that ever walked the earth is like even more repulsive for me.
No, Ariana, you used to orgasm. No, I didn't, Tom. Ariana,
I was sure you. Yeah, you did. I know.
Was there. You weren't.
No. Yeah.
I was there. You weren't.
And you did.
You orgasmed. I promise.
I know.
I know. You don't.
God.
Just fuck off.
But anyway, Katie comes over with her cheese basket. She's there with her lunchbox cheese.
Oh, all those cheeses looked
They actually looked really good. And listen, my favorite food is a sandwich, so I'm all about this. And I really liked watching, them kind of assemble a sandwich, even though we didn't really get to fully see it. But I needed that.
The sandwich stuff was, it was fun for them, but it really was a backdrop for
I needed the backdrop for the horrifying stuff that was coming out of Tom's mouth.
Every scene could be an entire recap, by the way.
I know. I know. We could dissect every scene for an hour because that's how it's messed up and the psychology behind all of it.
I don't think it's really a big deal. They're just two single people who are decent looking, who are in Mexico, who just decided to make out. Yeah. That's my first note.
Yeah. That's exactly what he says with that fucking necklace. What is that? Like the child's necklace, I guess?
Yeah. Candy necklace.
But you know that he probably spent a lot of money on that. That's my point.
I can't.
Yeah.
Guys, this is how manipulative Tom Sandoval is. He tells Katie that she and Tom Schwartz need to have a healthy separation. And in the same breath says, Katie, it sounds like you decided and he agreed. In regards to her saying, he's the one that wanted to be friends. Mm-hmm. And in order to be friends with me, this is what we have to agree upon.
Yes, correct.
Then Tom's like, you decided, he agreed.
It's your fault.
Yeah, they had a conversation and she chose her boundaries. And yes.
For a healthy separation.
He agreed. Yes, he did. Tom Schwartz agreed, guys. He agreed. He could have said, no, I don't agree with that. So I guess we won't be friends. Mm-hmm. But in order to be friends post-divorce, this is the boundary that Katie has set. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, whether I think that boundary was a little deep makes no difference to me. It makes no fucking difference to me. It doesn't care. I'm not Katie. And I'm not Tom Schwartz. Okay. This to me was very similar to Katie gave Tom Schwartz an ultimatum to get married.
Yep.
No. Mm-hmm. Katie said, we've been dating this long. Mm-hmm. This is where I'm at. I want to move forward and I'd like to get married. If you don't want that, you need to let me know now.
The choice is yours.
The choice is yours. I'm sick and tired of people saying that because somebody says this is what I want out of life and it's okay if you and I don't agree with that, then I need to walk away.
To move on.
There's nothing wrong with that. That is not an ultimatum. That is expressing what you're looking for in a marriage. An ultimatum is, if you don't propose to me, I'm walking away. That's an ultimatum. To express that you want to get married and you'd like to get married, and the window is 6 months to figure out what it is, that's not an ultimatum. An ultimatum is something that is very
black and white.
Black and white, to the point. I could be wrong.
No, I agree with you. And also, he made the choice. He didn't have to marry her. He didn't have to agree that, oh, I don't know that I can, not make out with one of our people in our friend group. He could have said no, but you know what? He always wants to be liked. He wants to do what he perceives as the right thing, but he can't ever really do it.
So he always plays both sides of the same fucking coin.
Lisa Vanderpump said it. He straddles the fence.
Yeah.
His ass is right in the fence.
And the person that ends up always having to sacrifice is the person
Katie.
that's close to him, which is Katie.
Yeah. That scene was really, really infuriating. And yeah, he's basically like, well, you made this decision and he just went along with it. Well, then your friend's a loser. And your friend needs to have a backbone and stand up for himself and say, no, Katie, I'm not doing this. Or we can't be friends.
And I'm sick and tired of his argument being, well, I don't think it's a big deal. That's cool for you. You don't think it's a big deal, but you're not in this situation, so shut the fuck up.
Yeah, we don't care about what you
And by the way, now that we know what we know now, yeah, of course you don't think it's a big fucking deal because you fucked your partner's
very good friend.
Who's been in and around the group for like 6 or 7 years. So shut up.
Yeah, we don't need to hear from you.
Yeah, we're good.
And even if we didn't know that was happening or happened, I still don't need to hear from you. Your moral high ground is non-existent for me.
So what, y'all aren't friends anymore? And then Katie responds, again, baits. This is what this motherfucker does all the time. I know this is a television show, and I know that these conversations are prompted. Like, they have an idea of what they're going to talk about. We're talking about what's happened leading up to here.
Yeah.
What's been going on? Did they go out? What's happening? We're not back from the wedding. This is a post-stop, right? This is a post-mortem from the vacation from Mexico. What? Are y'all not, like, friends anymore? Leading. Because you've already talked to Tom Schwartz. So you know that.
Yeah.
How about this? I talked to Tom Schwartz and he said that you guys are no longer friends anymore. What happened? Not, oh, so you guys aren't friends anymore. Then Katie explains that no, they're not. And he's like, wrong. Which one is it, Tom? You like Katie or you don't? You want them to be friends or you don't want them to be friends?
No.
Which one is it?
Exactly.
Because from what I can see on this side of the line, last season, you hated that they were together. They were married and you hated it. Jax is saying that he believes that you are culpable in the demise of their relationship. Now, I blame Tom and Katie. I don't really want to blame anybody else because that's not fair. But to say that he had no effect at all is asinine.
Yeah, I agree.
Asinine.
And then the dreadful last part of the scene when she's like, you know what? I hope you never have to find out what it feels like to have your partner make out with one of your friends. God rest your soul. And then the dreadful music. And then like we pan to Tom and, you know, he looks like, you know, deer in headlights. And
I do feel like some of these scenes have been re-edited for sure.
Yeah, I remember you saying that. For that to be like the last part of the scene.
Yeah.
It's what we're left with.
I think maybe some of this stuff was probably initially storyboarded out. And I say storyboard, not fake. Let's be clear about that. Not fake. But,
not fake.
But yeah. Okay, before we leave Tom and Ariana's kitchen, there's one part that we forgot to talk about.
What is it?
And Katie calls Raquel a whore.
Oh, yeah.
Not laughing at the fact that we're calling people whores. I'm just
I can't believe
laughing.
I forgot about that.
Katie went back to old Katie.
Yes. But then Ariana's like, no, she's not getting paid. She's not a whore.
What's funny is at the beginning of the season, we see Katie in the chair doing an interview for a scene. I can't even remember what it's for, but the context is basically she's calling herself a slut. I think she's saying like she wants to go out or something. I don't truly remember what the context was, but something kind of innocuous. And she's like, am I allowed to say that still? Can I get canceled for saying that?
Oh, I kind of vaguely
Do you remember?
Yeah, that
I want to
part.
say this was in the first episode.
Yeah.
And then here we are in the kitchen. She's a whore.
Whore.
Call it like I see it. Whore.
Oh yeah, she
Whore.
loves a whore. She does.
A horror.
A whore.
Well, she likes both. She loves to use a good whore, and then she loves to live in a horror. But she's not living in a horror anymore because she cut Tom Schwartz off.
Yeah, thank God.
What is your feeling about this? We're in 2023. We're in this era where we're supposed to stop saying things like whore and slut, skank. It's an oldie.
Yeah, that is an oldie.
But a goodie.
I don't know. I mean, it did feel very like Katie of 2013 or 2014. But I do think that Katie's always had a little bit of a vicious tongue sometimes. So I think.
You think?
So I'm not surprised. And I think she's just angry. You know, I think she's angry. I think she's sad. Do I like condone and like celebrate?
No.
Yeah, call her a whore. No, but
she doesn't actually think she's a whore, guys.
Yeah. Well, in the same way that like, and we'll talk about this later, but like with the mistress stuff, when Lala's like, hey, mistress, later on, she's like, of course, I don't really think that you're a mistress. You know, I mean, I think part of it's to sting. And she knows, and who's she talking to? She's talking to Sandoval. She knows it's going to get back to her probably, you know?
That's
part
my
of
point.
It's the effect. It's like the sting.
Of course.
So,
I think that her calling Lala a whore 7 seasons ago was far worse than this.
Yes.
She was mad.
She was mad.
And you know how I know that it was okay and she was just mad? Ariana is not getting upset with her. Not simply because she's her friend and she takes her side. She's not getting upset with her because she knows it's her reacting and she's pissed.
Yeah.
She's mad.
Yeah.
And she also tells her that she's not a whore, which thank you, Ariana, for being.
She's not. She doesn't get paid. I think Katie goes, well, she should.
I love
she's
how
acting like one.
I love how that's it. Well, guys, she didn't file her taxes last season.
She's looking out for her finances.
Yeah, exactly. Tom, Lisa, Raquel at Sir. To which Lisa goes, why are you guys here?
My sister asked the same question. She's like, why are they there? And I was like, I don't know.
Well, this is.
I was like, because they're losers.
This is one of those things where Lisa asking seems silly because obviously production knows that they're there and we all know why they're there and all that stuff. So Lisa asking, you almost wonder, well, she knew that they were going to shoot a scene there. So why is she asking why they're there? It could have been production who set this up. But the reality is something tells me Tom and Tom are the ones that chose to film this scene at Sir, which is oftentimes what we do with cast members. We ask them where they would want to go. They could have gone to Tom.
Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't. Oh, but wait.
Raquel.
Interesting.
Who's working tonight?
Something tells me they wanted to go to Sir.
Because the whore's there. Ding, 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 ding.
Whore. The whore of Hollywood. No, she's really not, guys.
No, she's not.
Just because I just think it's funny when people say whore.
Yeah. But yeah, they show up, they're drinking their Bud Light. And bye to Bud Light.
Yeah. Look, I love a good Miller Lite. I love a good Bud Light. Usually Bud Light's for the river.
My parents love drinking Bud Light.
Yeah, but outside when it's hot, I'm not drinking Bud Light at Sir. Are you drinking Bud Light at Sir?
No.
Look, let me drag them, okay? I just want to drag them.
Sure.
For our listeners out there who drink Bud Light, don't hate us. Still continue to listen. This is an effort for me to drag these two loser fucks who own a bar and are drinking Bud Light.
But now we have to lean into Bud Light because they support trans. And so everyone that hates Bud Light now is all these rednecks and men are throwing their Bud Light out the window.
Yeah.
So in that regard, we stand with Bud Light. But from a taste aspect, it's pretty terrible.
Y'all don't even realize what y'all support.
Oh, I know. There's so many videos.
Yeah, there's like three
with
companies
Ford
who own
and all this stuff.
Yes.
It's like, okay, come on.
There's like three companies who own everything. Comcast, General Electric. They literally own our asses.
Yeah.
Like the same company who owns Bravo also owns another network that like you probably hate and you would think is totally against Bravo. But yeah, so they're drinking Bud Light, trash beer.
And then Lisa comes in before Raquel comes in, correct? She's like, what are y'all doing here?
Oh, yeah. So Lisa comes in. She stumbles upon the Tom.
Sure.
So what are you guys doing here?
Yeah.
They pull up a seat. She sits down. Okay. I don't know if you noticed this or you felt a vibe, but how quick he was to want to give Lisa the cheek to cheek kiss felt
that was weird.
It felt like I thought he was going to ask her for $1 million. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, okay,
yeah.
It didn't feel creepy. It just felt like, what are you doing?
It felt odd though, because that's something that I wouldn't have even picked up on, and I picked up on it. And then of course, Schwartz doesn't do that. It just felt very schmoozy and like, yeah, like what's the deal here?
But not completely out of character, because I feel like we've seen people kiss Lisa like that, and we've seen Tom Sandoval kiss other people like that. But in this particular moment, isolated at Sir,
something was off.
Felt off.
Yeah,
I think even Lisa felt like a little like, oh. Like, oh.
Yeah.
Like when they put it in the wrong hole. Oh. Own it.
Whoopsie.
Own it. Yeah.
Yeah.
As much as I love Lisa Vanderpump, I'm good on another Tom scene. Like, how many Tom scenes can we have? Tom and Tom tasting.
You just mean the actual Toms together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tom and Tom tasting. Tom and Tom talking about Katie. Tom and Tom talking about this. Tom and Tom with Brett.
The restaurant.
Tom and Tom at Tom. Tom and Tom at Sir.
Yeah.
I'm done with Tom. But here we are. Because we need another scene to check in on the Toms. Lo and behold, Raquel walks on in.
Come over. I can't hear you. Come over here. Come sit in between us. I can't hear you.
Do it.
And I love...
Do it. I fit here. Wait. Scoot over just a little. Oh, okay. Hey, Lisa.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mexico. It was so much fun. I can't breathe because the Toms are squeezing me in. Yeah. I mean, it was... Raquel, I can't hear you. Speak louder. Come closer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Come sit on my lap. And I love that. I love that Lisa definitely doesn't care, but I love that Lisa has to be like, get back, hurry up and get back to your work.
She needs to
get back to your job, knowing that she doesn't really give a fuck. But
also,
and the awkward high fives.
Okay,
I need Schwartz and Raquel to stop giving each other, and Schwartz is prompting it, but stop doing high fives. Just give her a normal hug or just say hi.
Right out of my mouth. It was so
Stop
weird.
it. Ugh, yeah. Very
And
awkward.
I know that to most of the viewers, it looks like, oh, they're in on it. Everybody's in on it. The three of them, they're all in on it. No, guys, I'm going to reiterate this one more time. Tom Schwartz, the reason why it feels like he's in on it is because he's in it. Like, he's not in on it. He's in it because he's a loser. Loser. He's like, oh, he's awkward because that's just who he is to his core. To his core. Yeah. The hot girls don't typically go after Tom Schwartz. All he's ever known is Katie, and she's the hottest get he'll ever have gotten. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's just him being weird and him being awkward. Yeah. And it's Tom Sandoval and Raquel who know what the fuck is up.
Yeah. Come sit over here. Yeah. Katie called you a whore.
Okay.
Oh, but I do. He acts like he's like, I don't know if I should say it. And
stop.
And then finally he rips it off. I mean, come on. You know, he was so excited to tell her that.
He was so excited because it works out, right?
Pumped.
It's perfect for his plan. Mm-hmm. Because if he tells her that Katie called her a whore, without giving any context, by the way, not that we need it, Katie shouldn't have said it, but I think context in this particular situation is helpful. He tells her that Katie called her a fucking whore, by the way. That is not what Katie said. He says, yeah, she was like, she's just a fucking whore. That's not how Katie said it. Katie flippantly, while spreading some Grey Poupon on her bread, said she's a whore. Okay. It's very different, Tom Sandoval. It's very different. So, you know, he leaves that part out and changes the tone completely. And so then Raquel's like, oh, like what? Because I feel like Raquel, for the most part, isn't typically familiar with people calling her a whore. Like, that's just not part of the day-to-day vernacular that people use when they're talking to Raquel.
Sure.
Prior to what we know now, which is the cheating, right?
Yeah.
So he didn't need to tell her. And it was so clear to me that he was riding on this soapbox of he needs to do the right thing, which is what all narcissists do. Their intention is to do the right thing, but it's really a guise for doing the wrong thing to make somebody else feel bad, to make them feel good, to fill the narcissistic supply. Mm-hmm. So by telling her that Katie called her a whore made Raquel feel like shit in a way where then he's supposedly, again, shocked that she was upset that she would call her a whore. Wouldn't you be upset if somebody called you a whore, whether you knew you were a whore or not?
Correct.
So by telling her that Katie called her a whore is only to put the divisiveness between the women and Raquel even further so that Raquel has no one else to go to but him, because she won't go to Tom Schwartz because everyone thinks that she's a whore. So who does Raquel have to turn to? None other than Tom Quicksand Sandoval.
Yep. Yeah, and he gets to save her.
Yep.
You're not a whore.
Savior complex,
You're
guys.
not a whore. She, you know, she's a bitch. She's X, Y, and Z. I didn't know it was going to upset you like this, but let me comfort you.
Yep.
I mean, yes, absolutely all over the place.
I mean, I didn't anticipate Raquel being so upset about Katie calling her a whore. I definitely want her to know what people are saying about her.
Yeah, exactly.
Shut the fuck
I definitely want her to know. Yeah, we know you want her to know.
You know what? I want you to know
saying.
That you have a horrible fashion sense. And the biggest tragedy of this entire show is the fact that we have to watch your outfits and the things that you choose to wear, because it's choice, on camera, as if to say that this looks good. I don't fucking think so. Shut the fuck up. You are the weakest link.
Goodbye. And just white out nail polish.
Loser. And then Lisa picking up on, you seem like excited about that.
Ew.
I'm excited.
His tongue poking out, and then he like rubbing his hands together like I've won the pot of gold was disgusting.
Here's what I'll also comment on. I don't care that people do drugs. That's your prerogative. It's not my place as a producer or as a viewer to go, oh, they're on something, but just for the purpose of this conversation, he feels like he's on something.
Yes, I would agree. Even the scene at the beginning with the restaurant and the scene at Lisa's house with Tom, like he just seems a little bit more over the top than he's always been over the top, but there's just something that feels a little bit off. And I look into his eyes and I see nothing. Yeah. Like, it's like there's nobody there.
But that's how people who are
But it seems a little
sociopaths.
A little bit more with each passing episode.
Oh, he gets more nefarious each episode.
Yeah. But I agree with you. Seems like something might be going on there.
Something's a little off. Something's a little off. And look, maybe he's on no-dose. I don't know. Maybe he had too many Starbucks that day. But he just feels like a little frenetic. That's what it is. And I think some of this is tied to the midlife crisis he's experiencing, his rendezvous and dalliance with Raquel, and the fact that he's just maybe perhaps on too much caffeine. I don't know. But I digress.
Jesse Spano.
So we asked some of the listeners to send in some topics and things that they were kind of curious about. And one of the questions we got, which I'm going to ask you, because I think after watching this scene, you might have a better understanding. Do you think Lisa had any inkling of what Tom might be feeling towards Raquel.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I think so. Do I think that she could have foreseen and known what happened? Maybe not. But I mean, she even says like, wow, look at this smile. Look at you.
Yeah.
Like, I think she could sense maybe something, but.
Well, what I was going to say, because I thought this was an interesting question, and we've gotten other questions regarding production, producers, did they know? And we've talked about it before, and we'll bring it up again in just a second. But in this particular case with Lisa, whether or not she had an inkling, it's interesting because there is something to be said with innocuous flirting. Mm-hmm. Now, some of our listeners may not agree with this, but I do know that there are other listeners who will understand what I'm saying when I say that sometimes there's like inner relationship flirting, where you flirt with a friend and it is flirting. You feel the flirt, but it's not romantic, right?
Yes, it's harmless.
It's harmless. I think there's also something to be said with having crushes when you're also in relationships. You can have a crush on a guy at work. That doesn't mean you're acting on it. Sometimes crushes are very platonic, innocuous. You're just like, ooh, no different than if you see Margot Robbie walking down the street or Ben Affleck. You get that feeling.
That was for me, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Mine should have been Craig Conover, but whatever. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There is something to be said with that. It's okay to have a crush while you're also in a relationship. It's okay to innocuously flirt. Those things exist. It's kind of what Sheena was saying in Watch What Happens Live. She didn't think anything of it because everybody's touchy.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, you're right. She said that.
That's right. That's right.
Because he's like, did y'all even, when we finally have like some concrete evidence, Andy asked Sheena, did y'all have any idea or like inkling when you found out that Tom Sandoval and Raquel were dancing at the Abbey? And she's like, honestly, no, because I would be dancing with Sandoval. I used to do it all the time.
Exactly. You know? And Brittany and Jax in their Watch With episodes that are on Peacock, which I implore everyone to do, there's a moment where Brittany admits that there was an event that Sheena, Raquel, and Brittany were going to be going to, where Sheena called Brittany asking if she could pick up Raquel on the way to the event. When Brittany goes to pick up Raquel, Tom hops in the car. They go to this event.
Of course he does.
Of course he does. They go to this event. They take a picture together. And then the show, they put an insert of the photo, right? At that moment, Jax is like, wait, what? Because even he doesn't know that this happened. And I think it's really funny if you guys watch. There are just moments where they're both discovering little moments within each other. So even Jax says, did you pick up on anything? Did you feel anything? And Brittany goes, not really, because that's kind of who Tom Sandoval is. He's very affectionate. He's touchy. He's flirty. He's just that type of a person. No different than the references that we've used in the past where we see Lindsay from Summer House sitting on Kyle's lap and Amanda's there. It's just kind of their everyday circumstance. No one noticed. But in this moment, it's an interesting thing to see because in hindsight, we can go, obviously there's something going on. But I do wonder if we would have picked up on that.
In the moment.
Yeah, because there is something to be said with that. They've all fucked each other. They've all seen each other naked.
Yeah.
Lala has seen Ariana's hoochie coochie. We're all just in it together, right? Kristen's fucked Brittany. Jax has fucked Kristen. It's just kind of...
Yeah.
So do I think she thought that they were having an affair? Probably not.
I don't think so either.
No.
But I think you can pick up the energy that she's like, wow, you're like really giddy. Like, look at you smiling. Yeah. It's so gross.
So... Ew. But I want to say that my biggest takeaway from this entire episode, and it's in this scene that really moved me, that made me really go, God, I need to take this moment to be a little introspective and to look at my life differently, because what I didn't know is there are people in your life who either charge your battery or drain it. And what I'm saying is, guys, get a new charger, get a new battery. Okay? Yeah, that was, look.
And charge my battery.
There people in your life who either charge your battery or drain it. And
I mean,
I choose to surround myself with women who want
to charge
my battery.
Yeah.
How was that for you?
I mean, I think your impersonations are pretty spot on.
Not all of them. Let's not get it twisted.
No,
just thinking that you hype me up behind this.
No, just that one.
Okay.
The other ones are trash. Yeah. Just that one. Just kidding.
Garbage. Garbage.
Listen, guys, it's easy to watch that scene and be like, you're a whore, we hate you.
Yeah.
But also,
it's clear.
Going back to like episodes that we did a couple, well, you know, mainly like the Las Vegas episode.
Many moons ago.
I still stand behind that this woman,
Dude,
and
she's
I really
wrecked.
should call her a girl, and I'm not meaning that to just be like super disrespectful. I think that she has the maturity of like a 16-year-old.
I'm not a girl, not yet a woman.
That's her song, guys.
Yeah.
She doesn't. She's in the in between, and she's broken, and now she's under Sandoval's spell, and it's going to get much worse for her.
I just think of the Leftovers.
Then it's going to get better.
Say the in between.
I watched one season of that.
It's like purgatory.
Yeah, I watched one scene of that.
She is on the
or
in
one
between.
episode of that. I mean, yeah. So again, not trying to be like she's innocent, she's a victim. I'm not trying to say any of that.
No, and I think our listeners know that we're not saying that she is an excuse for her behavior, but
you know,
we would be remiss if we didn't acknowledge that she's clearly going through an identity crisis, which again, going back to the identity and that theme, Raquel and Tom Sandoval are both simultaneously together going through an identity crisis. One is having a quarter life crisis and the other one's having a midlife crisis. So they're both experiencing transitions. They're both experiencing wanting more. They're both experiencing wanting something different than what they've been exposed to or what they've dealt with. One being that Raquel was in a relationship for how many years with this guy? A lot. Enough.
5 or 6
years.
Yeah.
Then we've got Ariana and Tom Sandoval who have been in a relationship for 9 years. So in a lot of ways, they're both at the same time experiencing the same thing. They're both on this parallel journey together, albeit one is single and the other one is not, which makes this completely egregious. But they're both fucked up. Like it's clear that they are both fucked up, right? I mean,
yeah. And one's more intentional than the other. Of course. We don't need to say that, but
yeah, I don't need to say that either. But just as a PSA, one is definitely manipulative, one is definitely a narcissist, and one is definitely nefarious within his behaviors.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got some Machiavellian shit happening here with Tom Sandoval. Like it's 100%. He is wicked.
Is it true?
Okay, so can we talk about this fertilization scene?
Scare tactic. That was rough. This was a hard scene for me to watch.
Was it?
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah, one just,
Sorry, hold on. Was it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one is just, it was hard to see Ariana kind of, talk about it. And, she, for the longest time, didn't want kids. And she still may not want them. But now she's entertaining the possibility of maybe, having kids with her eggs and all that kind of stuff. This scene really bothered me with him specifically. Shocker. But her just talking about like, okay, we need to do some healthy habits, and you don't have to drink because his stress level, that's what's out of control. He he's in shape, he maybe eats okay, but his stress is out of control. So how does he deal with stress? He drinks, right? That's the vibe I'm getting from this picture that they're painting. And she's like, we just have to find other ways to like, for you to take care of your stress. You don't need to just do shots and stuff like that. And instead of Sandoval having a beat and taking a moment being like, yeah, I understand, I agree, I think I could, try to do X, Y, and Z, whatever. Instead, in Sandoval fashion, he says, well, everybody has bad habits. Okay. All right. That's not productive at all.
I mean, he wasn't at the tasting because he had to get a manicure.
I was enraged.
Don't you understand that? He wasn't at the tasting because he had to have band practice. Don't you understand that?
It was on the books for weeks.
Correct.
Nothing can save that.
Their sandwich shop, it's good, but it's only going to be good because it's cheaper.
Yeah.
There's never a space where anybody can be wrong, anybody can be right, anybody can be celebrated, anybody can be a failure. He lives in spectrums. It's this or that. It's black or it's white. It's 1 + 1 = 2. So it's just frustrating. It's another scene where, she's supposed to point out his bad habits, as you said, and she does. And he's like, well, everybody has bad habits. Yeah, but that's not the point of this. The entire point of this scene is to talk about the two of them. It's to talk about where they're at, how they're feeling. They're using the fertilization as a backdrop to get into the scene. Now, the fertilization is something that absolutely lives in truth and it exists, but in an effort, it's to dovetail. It's let's talk about fertilization. Let's check in with you guys. Let's see where everything's at. Guarantee you that that's what they were told. We just want to know where you're at in your journey. This is a personal story because in every show, although we're covering A, B, and C major story arcs, there are personal scenes that are tied to that. And one of them is this, with Tom Sandoval having everything going on in his life, the opening of this, the opening of that. It's clear he's all over the place. We're going to talk about where they are at in their relationship, which is we're at fertilization. So to do that, we're going to talk about what our bad habits are, what we need to fix, because Ariana can't be the only one in the relationship that either has bad habits, depression, failures, successes, whatever.
Sure.
But Ariana is. Ariana's the only one who has any type of issues or anything that she needs to process or go through. Not Tom Sandoval. Tom Sandoval cannot have bad habits because, well,
he's perfect.
He's perfect.
He's perfect.
Perfect.
He'll never say that he's perfect, but he's perfect. Just like he'll never say, Ariana, I want you to have my back 100% of the time. I don't expect that, but you expect that. You expect her to agree with you. You expect her to be easy. You expect her to think that you walk on water and that you are the smartest man in the room.
That's correct.
And that's changing. And that's what's hard for him.
Nothing about Ariana has changed.
For him, it is.
The Ariana that we see now is the same Ariana who called him a little bitch when he wanted to have something to do with her cocktail book, because he could not help himself but drag her and say that he has more experience. He should be the one doing the cocktail book, not Ariana. So, yeah, he has bad habits, but doesn't everybody? I hate him. I really do. The scene was horrible. And I think that this scene has far more weight now than it did from what it was intended to be.
Sure.
It really was not supposed to be a big, heavy, deep. That's my opinion, just as a producer watching it. I don't think that this scene was intended to be heavy. I think the scene was just simply as a check-in, right? State of the Union. But given what we know now, I feel like the scene has a little bit more weight. The episodes are a little bit more supersized. And I think that there are scenes that we're seeing now, what we're seeing currently as flashes, that may have lived as actual scenes prior to what we know now.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I want to say that the fertilization scene probably either was going to live as a flash.
Yeah. But yeah, everything is hitting differently now.
Everything.
That sandwich scene at the beginning of the episode,
I think that
probably
was
would have been a flash.
Yeah, I think that was supposed to be a flash too.
But because of everything we know, everything is landing and hitting differently. But yeah, that was enraging. Another scene that just drove me mad.
Yep.
Drove me
He's trash.
insane. And listen, the silver lining is she didn't get pregnant. Thank God. I mean, thank God. There's always a silver lining.
Praise, because they are with you for 18 years.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Within the scene, what we come to find out is that Tom Sandoval feels at times that Ariana talks to him like he's an idiot. Well, call it like I see it.
Exactly.
I mean,
exactly.
what? But do you notice how once she tried to put the kibosh on that and explain that, of course she doesn't think he's an idiot. She wouldn't be with him if she thought he was stupid. It immediately flips to, I just think that you think that I'm annoying.
Yeah. Flip-flops.
And then she's like, well, yeah, Tom, we've been together for fucking 10 years. Of course I'm going to think you're annoying. I almost like saying, I would hope that you would think I'm annoying because it wouldn't be normal if we didn't think that we're annoying.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
I've been in relationships for a long time. Yeah, you get annoyed. The things that you like in the beginning of the relationships are always the things that you end up hating in the end because everything's endearing, everything's charming, everything's cute. And then that shit doesn't work anymore.
And everything's annoying.
And it fades away, which is precisely why Tom Sandoval is having a midlife crisis and having an affair.
Yeah.
What I also took away from this scene is something that I felt was really poignant, which was when Ariana tells him, no, I think you're smart. I would never not be with you if you weren't smart. Said all I needed to know, which is that Tom Sandoval is so insecure with Ariana being the smart one, the funny one, the beautiful one, the successful one, the this, the that, which Tom Sandoval has his own success, but he feels so insecure that he has to date someone that perceives him as being the smartest one in the room.
Like Raquel.
Yep.
Yeah,
That little moment when he's like, you just think I'm stupid, or I feel like you think I'm not smart, or whatever. And I went, oh my God. Ding, 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 ding. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Like, that is why he's with Raquel. Now, I think everyone kind of knew that, but I think we were seeing it more from the lens of, well, she's easy to manipulate.
Yep. Which I still agree with, but yes.
Still agree with, but on the flip side, how does this affect him in a positive way, well, it makes him the smartest man in the room.
Yeah.
Makes him the smartest man in the room.
And he can be on a pedestal. Like, and we've said this before, Tom Sandoval doesn't need just a girlfriend. He needs someone that worships him and would die on the ground he walks on. It's like obsessive. And she can fit that role. So, I mean, yeah, I think that that's exactly accurate.
It's just...
Because I'm sorry, even in that conversation with Ariana, I'm like, you sound like an idiot. He's like, I think that, you think I'm stupid sometimes or an idiot. I also like think that, like you just, sometimes you just like, I annoy you, and like, you sound like a fucking moron. And I really don't even know how Ariana did this for so long. I really don't. But now she's set free and she can fly.
I think you just get comfortable.
Fly away. Well,
you get comfortable with people and who they are. And I know we never have time to talk about it because these episodes have been supersized, so our recaps end up being inherently longer, but there is something to be said with branding. It's really hard to break that up. It's really hard to not want to emotionally leave the situation. That is easy. But there is a lot of money. There's a lot of layers. There's a lot of finances that I do think what it does is it perpetuates people staying in relationships longer than they should. And that doesn't always necessarily present itself as, I know I should leave, but I'm choosing to stay. Sometimes that presents itself with continuing therapy, continuing this, working on it in a way where the work's done, it's just over. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think that Ariana was like, it's over. But I do think that they are very comfortable with each other, and with everything being the way that it is, knowing that it's over sometimes doesn't really change the integrity of where the relationship is then and there. You know what I mean? Like you get so comfortable with each other that over doesn't feel any different than together.
Yeah. It's like roommates.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of gray area there that Tom Sandoval is not talking about. So when he says these things like she wouldn't leave and she would stay and she was talking about eggs and all this stuff, well, that all may be true, but let's be frank. They weren't talking about fertilizing eggs a week before they broke up. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
I don't fucking think so. Other stuff, I think that they were trying to stay together. Maybe Ariana did know it was over, but there's so many things wrapped up in your brand and finances that you stay longer to work on the relationship because getting out of it is going to be harder. It's just the truth.
Yeah. Trash.
At this point, this next scene that we're going to talk about is very irrelevant and kind of a filler, but it does add to the story, which is Raquel ultimately finds out because Oliver's ex or current wife or his partner, whatever you would like to call her, reaches out to Raquel to let her know that he's been cheating on her.
And yeah, speaking of when they did the phone call, because I think we actually might have gotten a question about this as well. And I was curious, but I feel like I know the answer just because, we talk about it. But when she calls Stephanie, what's her name?
Samantha.
God damn it. Okay. When she calls Samantha, obviously I can tell, we can see it, that the phone is on speakerphone, right?
And based on their reactions too.
Yeah. And like we can tell that Sheena and Brock also are hearing it, or that's what we're led to believe. But obviously we do not hear her on the phone. So my best guess, just knowing you, she must have not signed, a consent form or something to have her voice be on the show.
She did not. She did not sign a consent. And typically back in the day, and when I say back in the day, I mean like 3 years ago, we would have never been caught dead filming a scene where somebody did not sign off. We just wouldn't have done it. But I think where we are now with social media, things being leaked, it's far better for the show to at least film it, even if we can't use the audio. So there's more authenticity to it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because in the past, somebody would just say in an interview, oh, I got a call, or oh, I did this, or oh, I talked to so-and-so, or oh, this happened. But in an effort to really show that she did call, she did find this out, to kind of thread through and have all of that connective tissue, because it does become important later on. Because what they're intercutting this scene with is Lala and Christina Kelly at the house getting ready for the birthdays, right? Yeah. So it is important to see that. I would say in the past, we wouldn't have filmed it. We probably would have just had it in an interview by it, or we would have seen Raquel tell Brock and Sheena that she called Samantha, right?
Yeah.
But I do think in this case, it's necessary, even if we don't hear it, because the reactions are authentic. It's a real moment. It's a real scene. We're just not getting the other side. And it's because Samantha didn't want to sign off. Do you blame her?
No.
So Raquel ends up going on this date, and she tells Oliver how disappointed she is. Because isn't it confusing? Isn't it confusing to Samantha to make out with me and then a few days later sleep with her, which he's absolutely lying about. He totally fucked her that night. You can tell. I don't want to say poor Oliver, but there is an element where Oliver's like, I didn't know what I was getting into. And Garcelle warned him. Garcelle,
by the way,
warned him.
By the way, we don't have to get on this too long, but I'm so happy I got to see Garcelle.
Yeah.
I fucking love Garcelle, and I was happy. It was like a breath of fresh air, and I was here for it.
Yeah.
But she's probably kind of horrified. I don't know if she watched this, but she's probably kind of horrified the way this played out.
Can I say this, though? Was she horrified? If they were still together and they were still married and really working on the relationship, not legally married, we're talking about married, committed, working on the relationship, trying to figure out what the next steps are, what they're going to do, you think Garcelle would have advised him to go on Vanderpump?
I don't know.
Now, is there a world where Garcelle obviously is not his gatekeeper and says, do what you want?
Yeah.
Do what you want, but know how this could look? I don't think that Garcelle would have said, yes, let's all three of us do a scene together. No big deal. Knowing that Oliver's still trying to work it out with his ex in a real way.
Yes. But all I'm saying is that he does come off very much like a liar. So I'm sure it's not an easy thing for her to look at her son as like a liar.
No,
and a cheater.
Of course. I do want to say this, though. I do think that they were separated, and I do think that they were on the trajectory to be apart. Mm-hmm. What he's lying about is having sex with her and continuing to have a
maybe kind of lead her on.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I think he's embarrassed about.
Sure.
It's not that he is actually cheating while they're still married. It's that he's embarrassed that he's let her on, and he does look like an asshole.
Yeah.
But we've all been there.
Yeah.
Not to excuse it again, but Oliver, to me, in this particular circumstance, is vastly different than others. I think that they are popping in and out, fucking each other.
I'm not comparing him to a Sandoval at all.
No, of course. But I do think that there are a lot of parallels, right? So it's easy to see Oliver as a liar, which he is. But I do think that there's more to that story that we're never going to get because, well, Samantha doesn't want to sign a release and Oliver is not important
really on
enough.
the show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Raquel ultimately does go on the date with him and, ends the way that it ends.
She has the rights.
She has a revelation that she, too, was a mistress.
And she got manipulated.
God, I can't. You understand the irony behind her telling
that's why it's all
Oliver that, like, basically he's manipulating her and he's manipulating the ex-wife, and for what? While she's also being manipulated?
Yeah.
Like, how meta is this? How layered is this?
That's what I'm saying. This scene and the scene with Lala at the end, I'm like, this is just too much for me. It's too much. It was too much. That's why it took me 5 hours to watch. Mm-hmm. Because I'm like, some of these moments would have been a great moment and would have been a good moment for Raquel, but it's all in vain. Because none of it matters.
No, but the show is getting a lot of money and the ratings have shot through the roof. So I think that some of these episodes were never intended to be supersized. They became supersized.
Yes, but I'm exhausted.
It's a lot. So some of the scenes feel a little filler, or some of the scenes, not filler because they're important, but some of the scenes feel like they could either be utilized as a flashback or a flash sideways.
Yeah. What is a flash sideways?
So you have a flashback, which flashes back to an event or a moment from a previous episode to set the state, to remind your audience of what was said or what occurred, right? So a flash sideways is similar in nature. You're flashing back to a moment that happened in the past. Mm-hmm. The difference is the content within the flash sideways is new. It's something you have not seen prior.
Okay, that
whereas
makes
a
sense.
flashback is just, oh, we saw that. That's right. That happened. Right. That's a flash sideways.
Yeah, like a reminder.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So there are some of these moments that are in this episode that I think that naturally can be seen as filler because they probably should have lived more as like a flashback or a flash sideways, right?
Got it. Okay. And
because these episodes are supersized and the ratings are through the roof, everything's kind of living as a scene, as a standalone. Mm-hmm. There isn't a whole lot of flashbacks to anything really this episode. But speaking of flashback, something we didn't talk about real quick before we get to Lala's birthday. I'm going to flashback.
What?
James and Allie talking about Allie seeing Raquel and Tom Sandoval dancing at the Abbey.
Yep. We finally have our first tangible clue.
I knew she was a winner. Knew it from day one.
God, I
knew it. I knew it. That moment she sits with Raquel at the Ziggy party in episode 1. Mm-hmm. I knew it. I said, this girl is here to play and here to stay. I knew it. I get chills saying it because I knew it. I knew she knew what everybody was picking up and putting down.
Yeah.
Not manipulatively, but just she's smart. She's astute.
She's like, because she doesn't know them the same way, like James or someone. She was like, this, it just felt odd for me. So I remembered it and I need to maybe say it to somebody.
But thank you for saying that because I couldn't really put it together or how to articulate why she's so great. It's that. It's because she doesn't know this group.
Yeah.
So she can see things objectively.
Yeah. Because even James was like, well, Raquel's always with the Tom. So like, I don't really even know if it means anything. But of course, guys, now it does.
You want to know why everyone kind of maybe had an inkling, but really didn't in this moment have an inkling? Because this is how they are with each other. It's so par for the course that there are moments where you go, that's weird. But they're flashes in the pan. They're just little moments of thought because we're used to seeing these people be so incestuous that we don't give too much weight to it. It's a weird moment. It's a weird feeling. But we don't put too much investment into that.
Move past it.
But not Allie.
Not anymore.
And when James tried to play that off like it was nothing, you could see it in her eyes that she didn't think that it was nothing. She thought it was weird.
Yeah.
Because it was.
Remember, she's like, but I don't know how they are in their relationship.
So
she's like, I wouldn't be comfortable with that, but I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for those who are not familiar with the geography of space of Pump, Tom Tom, and Sir and the Abbey, they're all within a short block of each other. So there's the corner lot off of Santa Monica. Pump resides in the corner. When you turn the corner to go south, Sir is right there. The Abbey and the chapel are... Obviously, I used to frequent the Abbey all the time and many blackout, brownout, and great moments there. Many birthdays spent there. I had the best time at the Abbey, so I'm very familiar with this space. So the Abbey and the chapel are sandwiched between Sir and Pump. And Tom Tom is on the other side of what I think is still Mother Lode. On the other side of Mother Lode. Mother Lode is in between Pump and Tom Tom. It is literally a corner of a block.
It's close.
Yeah. So... to be dancing at 1 a.m. willy-nilly at the Abbey and expect not to be seen is wild to me.
Maybe they didn't care.
Everything.
And maybe that plays in like, well, we have nothing to hide. We were doing it in public. What do we have to hide? You know what I mean?
By the way, didn't even think about it like that. They're playing into it.
Yeah. They're like,
if they're very public about it, then what is they're not hiding anything.
Right. I don't know. I mean, clearly,
I think that's a really good point.
When Andy was like, did y'all think that was weird? And no, I didn't think anything of it.
Interesting.
That might also play into it a little bit.
Well, Allie knew.
Yeah, but again, she's not in this group the same way everyone else is.
I know.
Which is helpful.
I know. This kind of ties to another question that we got, which was, did producers know? Did production know? Did people know? And if they did know, is there a code of conduct within the microcosm that is reality television within the industry? Yes, I think that they knew, but I don't want that to get twisted into like, they knew, and they were playing it for story, and they knew, and they wanted to embarrass Ariana. That's not what this means. Because I think that oftentimes when we get this question, I think it's almost to explain that why would producers do this? Do we have no souls? Do we have no hearts? If you tickle us, do we not laugh? If you prick us, do we not bleed? Why are we doing this to a person? How can we watch this person fall and suffer and rise from the ashes again? It's because that's the job. I don't know what to say. Did they know? I think that they had an inkling, yes. Because look what we're watching. How can you not pick up on stuff?
Yeah.
Now, is there a way to tell that in the edit? I don't think that there was. I don't think that there was a way to explain all of the nuance that we're now seeing.
Like this is happening emphatically.
Correct.
They just couldn't do
Correct. But that's what I said early on. I was like, I think that they knew, and I think that it's now giving explanation to certain things that they came across, right? Now that we know, we're like, oh, got it. So all of these weird little moments where we're like, that's weird, but it's not that weird. Now we're like, oh, no. It's weird.
Yeah.
So did producers know? I do think that they had an inkling. Do I think that them knowing or having an inkling means that they're terrible people or means that they didn't have Ariana's best interest at heart? No, it's just the name of the game. And as a producer, I'm telling you right now, it sucks. You connect with these people. Yes, they are your cast. Yes, we're all at a job, but they're still your friends, no different than a colleague would be. You care about these people. You know that they're going to fall flat on their face. You know that somebody's cheating. You know that these things are happening. Sometimes you know emphatically. Sometimes you get inklings. It's not our job to tell them. Is there a code of conduct? Yes. Is it something in my contract that says I'm not allowed to tell a cast member if somebody's cheating or I'm not allowed to tell so-and-so? No. But there is an unwritten code of conduct, which is
integrity.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Could I tell a cast member? Yes. Would I be fired? I could be. And the truth is, I'll never get hired on anything ever again because that shit spreads like wildfire. It's called getting too close to your cast. And you can get very close to them no differently than you can get close to a best friend. But you have to remember that there's a line and you cannot cross it. At the end of the day, Bravo, the production company, they sign your checks. We're all there for a job. It's no different than me expecting a cast member to show up to a scene. It's the same. I'm not going to tell another cast member. I'm not going to tell a cast member. I'm not going to share any of that information because, one, it's not my information to share. I don't get to play God in scenarios like this.
Yeah.
Now, the people who do think that they can play God are people like Tom Sandoval. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't have a savior complex. It sucks. And it breaks my heart seeing people that I really care about on shows go through this stuff. I can't tell them. You can, but you'll get in trouble for it. You may not get fired, but you won't get asked back.
And I think there's also, it might in certain aspects like this be a fly on the wall and it's hard to watch, but at sometimes this is also their real life. And sometimes real life circumstances have to happen how they're going to happen.
Well, that's what I mean.
So,
it's like, it begs the question, if we then intervene, then we're a part of the show.
Right.
And
yeah,
are there moments,
can't do that.
And in the past we've talked about it, are there moments where we do have to be a part of the show? Yes. But specifically to this, we cannot just step in and go, hey, yo, what's up?
Yeah. It's a lot.
Yeah. This is a lot. This is a longer episode.
It's a big episode. Bravo, stop doing supersized. Stop it. I can't handle it.
Neither can I.
Yeah. The last scene, the mistress scene. And Lala's going hard.
Lala is
Mistress is here. Hey, mistress.
Hey,
what's up?
mistress.
Bet your mom is real proud, mistress.
Mistress. Hey,
part of me is like, this is too much. Stop it. And then part of me is like, okay, this is kind of comedy.
Yep.
But yeah, of course, she ends up showing up at the dinner or I guess it's more a birthday party. I don't even know if they're eating, but yeah, she shows up and Lala's like, of course you're here. Yeah. And then they have that awkward, I mean, it's not really awkward, but they have that conversation outside.
You know, I have problems with her showing up to this, not because she showed up, but it didn't feel like it made sense.
Right.
Right.
Like she wanted to be there because she could have called Lala the next day. She could have texted, you know what I mean?
From a story standpoint, it makes sense. But in action, it feels like Raquel wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Since when?
It felt a little forced.
It felt a little forced. Mm-hmm. It felt a little forced. And I think part of the reason why it feels a little forced is, well, because Tom Sandoval is producing from the sidelines, guys. I meant to say this earlier when we were talking about the Tom Raquel sandwich at SUR.
Oh, yeah.
Tom Sandoval is producing and coaching from the sidelines. I hate when cast members do this, but it's to be expected. Given the circumstance and knowing what we know, he's going to be producing her. I think in that last scene with the Tom sandwich, he wanted to go to SUR because he wanted Raquel to have her moment. Mm-hmm. And because he wanted to tell her that Katie called her a whore.
Yeah.
In this particular scene, I don't necessarily... Look, could producers have said, sure, why not? Show up to Lala's birthday, tell her how you feel? Yes. Do I think that Tom Sandoval told Raquel that she should do that? Then Raquel tells producers, hey, I want to do this? Yes.
I mean, I think that's plausible.
Now, do I think producers are encouraging her or employing her because that's what their job is? Yes, I do. But I think that Tom Sandoval is ultimately the one that's producing her from the sidelines.
And she will listen to him.
Just like I think Tom Sandoval is the one that told Raquel not to walk down the aisle with Tom Schwartz. He is trying to set her up to be the person who is apologetic, is the person who can right her wrongs and understand and be introspective enough to know that in this moment, she was the mistress. Could have Raquel gotten there on her own? I think so. Would it have taken a long time and we don't have enough real estate for that? Yes. Yeah, I mean, we'd be figuring this out in season 12. But, so can I applaud Tom Sandoval for getting us there a little faster? Yes. What I am not going to applaud is the reasoning behind it, the intention, which is he's trying to set up that Raquel is a saint and Lala is still a bitch.
Yeah. And a mistress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, some of these scenes are just in vain because, like, that would have been a nice moment. Like, I absolutely agree with you that I think Sandoval, he pulls the strings. So I get that's not lost on me. But, like, it was still a nice moment between really more so Lala being
I will say that. If we didn't know what we know now,
Yeah.
I actually love this scene. I'm glad that Raquel did it. Just in the same way that I love the scene between Raquel and Oliver.
Correct.
Yeah, if we didn't know what we know now.
Saying all the right
Correct.
things. Saying all the right things. And, you know, and Lala being like, listen, I called you a mistress. I don't think you're a mistress. We know who each, you know, which is like kind of rich now. But in that moment, like, we know who we are and we have to rise from the ashes. I was like, what a great scene. But, you know, then we have to throw it away and into the dumpster and light it on fire. But for that moment, I appreciated that scene. And I loved, I also love, because I was rewatching it with my sister and she's like, oh, I love that she didn't even get invited into the birthday. She just goes back home.
By the way, okay, bye.
See ya.
I honestly laughed too because I honestly thought that Lala would be like, hey, why don't you come in and enjoy a drink? No.
See ya.
Be gone.
But it's very authentic for Lala. She got what she needed, and now it's like, see ya.
Very authentic for Lala. I think it's interesting that you said that Raquel's saying all the right things, because she is saying all the right things. And I think that she believes them. I just don't think that she thinks that they apply to her. And that's what's so shitty about this, right? A lot of people have been involved in circumstances where they're the other woman, et cetera, et cetera. I think we can all say that we've all experienced that. We don't think that applies to us. We don't think that we're that person, right?
Yeah.
And I think that Raquel does believe what she's saying, and I think that she believes what Tom Sandoval's saying. I just don't think that she thinks that they apply to her. The rules do not apply. She is the exception to the rule.
Well, I mean, I think that could explain some of the actions that we know happen. So, yeah.
One last thing before we go.
What? What is it?
Satchel.
Oh.
Okay. He looks like a ballroom dancer, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Doesn't he have like that like ballroom dancer, like he does the cha-cha?
I don't know. Something.
I also think he kind of looks like her.
Do you?
Like in a weird way, I think he kind of looks like her younger brother.
It could be a brother.
Look, I think he's really cute.
I
love how she looks around him.
That's important.
I just got chills. She just looks safe.
Yeah.
She feels and exudes the energy of feeling safe.
I can exhale.
Yes. God, guys, waiting to exhale. 12 years. She's been waiting to exhale.
And I know since we saw the trailer, he's going to be at the beach scene. So I'm glad that we're going to get to see him come around when Schwartz is going to be there and when the big group and everyone's going to be there. I like that he's going to be a part of that.
I also think the Dawn is going to be there.
Oh.
I'm here for
I'm here for it too.
Fuck.
I am.
Yes.
I am.
They are. They're in their Renaissance era. They're like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you.
We're riding
the
hard. Satch and the Dawn.
Yeah.
Who knows how long they last, but they're here for now and we're here for it.
Wasn't there a celebrity baby named Satchel?
I don't know. This is the first time I've ever been introduced to a Satchel, I think, in my life.
I think that there was.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I think it was Woody Allen and Mia Farrow who named their child Satchel.
Probably.
He does look like Kenny G, though.
Kenny G.
That's not Kenny G, but
yeah.
Look, I'm happy to see these women just enjoying themselves, thriving, flourishing.
Yes, I agree.
And now we see Ariana with her guy.
And Sheena likes him, so.
But yeah, there's still so much to unpack. And I know we keep saying it, but every week is going to get worse.
We're climbing uphill. We are climbing.
And worse. Oh, yeah. We are on that Peloton bike and we are climbing that hill.
The endurance is hard for me right now, but we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
If y'all made it this far with us, thank you.
I'm just gonna pop an Addy and drink a Red Bull, and I'm good to go. I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh.
Red Bull for sure, though.
Yeah.
Look, every episode, it's been tough to get through. Not in a bad way, not in a complaining way, but it's just a lot of content, and there's a lot to digest.
There's a lot to drag.
There's a lot to drag. There's a lot to celebrate. So forgive us that with our Vanderpump recaps are just a little bit longer because we don't want to leave you guys empty-handed.
And they might be a little all over the place, but we do the best we can with all the information we have.
We do. We do.
But we do. But we do appreciate the questions.
We do.
Because it does help us kind of stay on track a little bit. So
it does. And I think with your questions aligned with what we're discussing, it does also add a little bit more length to our episodes.
Yeah.
All in all, we're just apologizing for them being long. We hate that you have to stop and then start and then stop again. And then start again.
So we'll make our goodbye short. Goodbye, guys. Goodbye, Kyle.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us on this 3-hour recap of Vanderpump Rules. As always, do not forget to like and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you're feeling really extra frisky today, leave us a review. We really appreciate it. Also helps with the stupid Apple algorithm that allows us to be seen and heard more. Because again, we want you to be seen and not heard. That's stupid. Anyway.
I was letting you go with it.
Don't let me go. You need to stop me when I'm on a roll of disaster. You need to stop me when I'm rolling down the gutter. Okay? All right, guys. Thank you for listening. And don't forget to donate a cocktail. Today, we're drinking coffee. So if you want to donate a coffee or a cocktail, it's your prerogative, but we would greatly appreciate it. And good day.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.